They say mountains don't move, but let me tell you, that's just something people who've never built a damn thing in their life like to say. I've spent nearly 4 decades, 37 years, designing foundations, shoring up hillsides, anchoring bridges, chasing slopes that love to wander, and let me tell you, the ground remembers every single mistake. So when I retired and picked up that property up on the ridge in Marlow Heights, I didn't fall for the view or the fresh paint or whatever curb appeal the realtor was pitching. I looked straight at the earth under my feet. It was beautiful, wild and raw and risky, the kind of place you buy, not because you're brave, but because you know exactly what you're up against. The house itself sat firm on bedrock, but right behind it was a drop-off 35 feet down into a canyon, and all that held it back was a patchwork of fill dirt. That was why the place was cheap. Most folks saw a landslide waiting to happen. I saw a challenge, and if I'm being honest, a little bit of an invitation. Within a week of closing, I had soil compaction gear in the yard, running tests and sketching out plans for a retaining wall. Didn't want to ruin the wild, just wanted to reinforce it. Gabion baskets, geogrid, French drains, rosemary for the bees. Built it with my own hands, 3 months from start to finish, stamped and filed with the county permits and all. I knew every bolt, every stone, and I slept better knowing I'd done it right. For 5 years, through storms and quakes, not one pebble moved until the HOA decided they cared. See, I'd been grandfathered in. The neighborhood association didn't really have a say when I bought, but over time they ballooned, started sending those chirpy flyers about mailbox heights and fence colors. I ignored most of it, paid my little fee to keep the peace. No harm done until Marcy Weller took over as president. Now, Marcy called herself a community visionary, which in my experience means she liked everything matching and had never once laid concrete in her life. She'd talk for hours about aesthetically harmonious landscapes, but what she really wanted was to sand down every edge until the whole place looked like a catalog spread. First time she saw my wall, she wandered up at a barbecue, glass of wine in hand, and said, "Oh, that's sturdy." I nodded, told her I'd built it myself. She nodded like she was trying to be polite, but it stung her. My wall didn't fit her natural gradients campaign. Weeks later, the first violation notice landed in my mailbox, unauthorized structure detected. I laughed out loud. I sent back copies of every permit, every engineering spec, every inspection photo. No one from the HOA showed up. Instead, a second notice, then a fine, then a threat: tear down the wall in 60 days or else. It wasn't about safety or permits anymore. It was about ego. So I did what any old engineer does when the bureaucracy comes knocking. I documented, scanned every letter, photographed every inch of that wall and the slope it was holding, sent it all certified mail, emailed it, dropped hard copies at the clubhouse. The next board meeting, Marcy's got my wall up on the projector as Exhibit D, aggressive non-compliant modifications. She said, "Mr. Riener, the board has voted. The wall's an eyesore and a violation." I stood up and told the whole room that wall's holding back 600 tons of unstable fill. Tear it down, you're rolling dice with your homes. Got a few nervous chuckles, but the vote was unanimous. They gave me 60 days. A few days later, a pair of contractors showed up in a white truck looking sheepish. "We're here to start demo," the tall one said, waving an HOA work order. No county signature, no engineer's name. I told them if they touched one stone, I'd have the sheriff here before they hit the second. They left. Thought maybe that was the end. But the HOA doubled down. Marcy put out newsletters about beautification, pushed the narrative that my wall was ruining property values. The city wouldn't step in unless the wall failed. My lawyer said the HOA was playing in a gray area, shady, but just this side of legal. So when the demolition crew came back this time, when I was away at the dentist, they went through my gate, broke the latch, started tearing out the wall like it was a rotten fence, left the whole slope bleeding dirt and stones. I came home, saw the mess, and felt a cold fear in my gut. I hadn't felt since my first job site collapse back in '84. I called the police. The city filed trespass charges. The HOA claimed they were mitigating risk. What they'd really done was wake up the hill. I started watching the slope measuring every day. Within a week, I saw movement an inch, then nearly 3 at the base. I flagged the soil, tracked it all, went door to door, warning neighbors. Some shrugged, some called their insurance, but one Cynthia Hall, a civil litigator, took it seriously. She called for an emergency meeting. The HOA ignored her. Marcy waved it off. 8th day. The first crack opened in the dirt, a thin scar across the slope. I called the county. This time a young analyst, Daniel, came out and took one look and blanched. "Sir, this isn't landscaping. This is a slope emergency." Within 48 hours, the county issued an advisory. Marcy tried to downplay it, but you could feel the shift. Neighbors started to panic. That's when the rains hit. The soil turned heavy, the cracks widened, and one night the ground just gave way. Not all at once, but like a zipper unfastening trees tilted the path in the park. Vanished 3 houses on the ridge, teetered at crazy angles. The sound was like thunder under your feet. My old wall would have held. The new natural slope folded like wet cardboard. Emergency crews came. No one died by some miracle, only bruises and a few broken bones. But 3 homes condemned the park, gone, the earth ripped open all the way down to the canyon. Next morning, HOA board blamed unauthorized modifications. They sent a letter implying my wall had caused it all. I laughed. The wall had been permitted, engineered, held steady for 6 years. Now they were desperate, flinging blame. Barbara, the treasurer, quietly gave us emails Marcy had written. "Even if he's right, the wall has to go." That was it. Cynthia organized the neighbors. We filed suit for negligence and damages, armed with every permit, every time-stamped photo, and thanks to Barbara, a smoking gun. The county's engineers confirmed the cause removal of the wall, not its existence. Public hearings followed. Marcy vanished, no apology, just gone. Board members resigned. The county stripped the HOA of authority, dissolved the organization, and put the neighborhood under stewardship. The insurance companies denied every homeowner's claim. "Sue your HOA," one adjuster said. And that's what we did. People started talking again about accountability, about who really keeps a community safe. My kitchen turned into a war room. Maps, rainfall charts, letters stacked like sandbags. Cynthia became a local hero, Barbara a reformer. Even old Mr. Ellerby started teaching kids about slope safety at the school. For the first time in years, the neighborhood felt like a neighborhood, not a set of matching lawns. The new retaining system went in county, design built to last. Looked a lot like my old one. The ground stopped moving. The wild came back, rosemary, rabbits, kids playing in the grass that wasn't perfectly level anymore. My son came to visit, said he was proud. Even brought my granddaughter her first rabbit sighting right by the new wall. And the best part, one morning I found a note in my mailbox. I was wrong. You tried to protect us. Thank you for not giving up. Wasn't signed, didn't need to be signed. So now every day I walk that ridge, knees aching, and people stop me not to complain, but to ask, how do I shore up my yard? Or what's the best drain for this slope? And I answer every time, because it turns out what really holds a community together isn't uniform lawns or strict rules. It's listening to the people who know what keeps things standing. You want to know who was right or wrong or what justice looks like? Go look at the hill, the wall, the people actually talking to each other again. And before you leave, do me a favor, drop a comment below. Do you think HOAs should have that kind of power over people's homes? Or is it time we started listening to the folks who actually build and protect what matters? Let's hear your side.